Views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Welcome back to one more show of the Table Topics. On the other side, and not far from me, just on top of the Ave over there, is I'm on the bottom of the Ave. You're on the top of, you kind of middle of the Ave. On the other neighborhood, Niagara.
Yeah.
Neighborhood, and I'm on Maplewood right now. So, John, where are we going to start? Where?
Hey, the world's falling apart, isn't it?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like, what else going to happen, you know?
Hopefully not a continuance of this stuff, but I don't know. Did you watch the news last night?
Oh, I watched the news. Depend what kind of news do you want to talk about?
Well, there was live coverage of protests in Brockton, and it ended up being not so nice when they were throwing fireworks and rocks and stuff like that at the police and the National Guard.
I just told on my other show to Linda that if I was a police officer today, I really didn't know how to do my job.
Yeah. No, it's definitely a different time, and we have the incident in Minnesota, which was a tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
A real tragedy out there.
And you know something, just because in a bag of potatoes you have one bad potato, that doesn't mean the rest of the bag is not good.
And yeah, I think sometimes people forget that in any occupation you're going to have a fully successful or minimally successful employee, but you're going to have a whole bunch of other employees. So I don't know. I think I read the other day there's like thousands of interactions across this country with the police every day. So say you have an incident like this out of 10,000, are you going to not do something? So like, let me take the example of flying on a plane. People fly on planes every day, you know what I mean? And they have a good experience. They get to where they're going. But you know what? Every once in a while, a plane crashes, 200 people die. It's either due to human error or mechanical error. People still fly, So I think with anything, you got to put stuff into context. What I feel, though, is that the media makes this like crazy. And, all we have to do is go back to the COVID-19, which COVID-19 now, right? Where's Dr. Fauci? Saying that all these protests with thousands of people, why aren't we hearing anything about that? We're not. But, putting things into context, you close the whole economy down, not only in this country, but all around the world. And roughly 300,000 people have died so far. Not a little amount of people, but we have I think we have like maybe 50 or 100,000 people are born every day in this world. Not to mention, you probably got 50,000 deaths every day. So, if people really looked at this and put this into context, go into World Meter and look at what the world population is right now. I think we're at like 7.9 billion people. So if 100,000 people go every day, which I believe is what it is, I wish I would have looked at it before we started. We've lost 300,000 people to this virus in the last 6 months. You got to put things into context. You can't close everything down for this. And that's how it is with this. Yes, it's a bad thing. It's terrible. I feel bad for the family. But you're creating all this wreckage in this country. You're
Mhm.
destroying people's
And,
businesses.
and my question now is, my question now is, with that destruction or breaking into business and stealing has to do with keep this person, rights
Yeah.
alive.
Yeah.
I mean, I have no idea, why this is happening, and and well, and we go back to the guns.
Yeah.
So let me see something. You own a gun. If somebody tries to rob you,
Yeah.
you have all the rights to defend yourself, defend your property, and you're going to shoot to kill.
That's not true, Carlos. That's not true in this country, in this state especially. A gun is a last resort. So you have to show that you have done everything you could before that person gets shot. That's especially in this state. Let me just go back to that. Minnesota, a guy was in an area where the business was getting looted, and he's like, you know what? I got to get out of here. I didn't think it was going to get this bad.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up shooting an intruder into the business. Do you know what happened? The Minneapolis police have charged him with murder.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know what I mean? There are different rights with this, and you probably heard it around here. There are people that when they break into people's houses and they shoot them, they're going to look at it. You know what I mean? So,
and that's what I was going into.
okay.
That's what I was going into.
Sorry.
If somebody's trying, that's okay. If I own a gun and somebody tried to rob me and all of that, and I'm going to shoot, I'm going to be charged with murder, pretty much. And I'm trying to defend myself. So, do you think that this business are now, which I saw one business ready for them to come to them? He was ready, and he had the big ones. So, you think that will happen if they know that these people have guns to defend their business?
I don't know, because apparently in Minnesota it doesn't matter, because if you do that, you're going to get charged with murder. So who's going to bother?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to bother? So it just, I mean, in Brockton last night, they actually set fire or vandalized the Dunkin' Donuts that was right near the police station there, and it was owned by a Cape Verdean lady. So, you're destroying your own community. And I believe Brockton has a big Cape Verdean population there. So, like, why would you burn down your own businesses? Now you can't go to the Dunkin' Donuts anymore.
Because they're not delivering a message. They're not delivering a message because they're not looking into that when they're robbing these people and breaking this business around and putting cars on fire and all of that.
Yeah.
They're not trying to make a message. The only message they're trying to do is I can do this and you can do nothing about it.
Yeah. Well, but that's where we have to get strong. You know what I mean? And when you listen to the mainstream media that, the president wants to bring in troops, you can't do that. That's going to be a police state. Well, what do you want then? You want people's businesses to burn down first. They close down the whole country. So these businesses are having issues as it is. And then you have people rioting and destroying their businesses. Like, how is that helping people? So it's like, if I own the business, I'd be like, you know what, if you need to have troops standing here, do it until this is over with. I'd be willing to do that. I'm not in favor of like national troops, but the National Guard, why, they need to be in there. It's just, if you get a chance to watch the Brockton issue there, it was just, at the end, it was totally ridiculous. They were walking right in front of the cops, and one young kid there was saying, the reporter asked him, what do you want? He goes, I want the police to kneel, right? So the cops are like, all right, the reporter's asking, all right, if the cops do that, are you guys going to go home? Is this over? No, we're going to be here all night. So, like, people asking you what your grievances are, what do you want, and they're saying, all right, they'll kneel with you then. They did that in Boston. But with this group, it was like, no, you know what I mean? We're going to be here. When you protest, you're supposed to bring forward grievances. What do you want changed? If you don't want the chokeholds anymore, I totally get that. Leaning on someone's neck like that, go out there and fight for legislation for that. I totally get that. That was not right what that cop did. You know what I mean? He was one of the probably policemen that should have been fired years ago. And I know that there were certain prosecutors that are actually senators now that helped him, helped that police officer stay out of jail. So, it's not even really about politics, but if you want to make it about politics, you get all these cities, right? Minneapolis, it's all Democratic, right? It's not independent or Republican. They're all Democratic. Apparently, people, you need to vote differently. I think there should be a third party. But you know what? If this party has not been working for you, why do you keep on voting for it? You're getting mad. Or they're getting mad at the president or the Republicans. They don't run your city. A Democrat does. A Democrat your governor, a Democrat your mayor. You know what I mean? Then vote. They're not working for you. These people aren't working. Vote for an independent. Vote for a third party candidate. But it's just not working for you. And people keep on doing the same thing and want different results.
I saw the news that some Congress are losing Republican seats. Is that fake news?
Oh, it probably is. But like I said, you can't. You're blaming this. People are blaming this has been going on for years and years. But you know what? There's really stuff that has to be looked at. There's a lot of things that need to be that come out, but they won't come out because they're not politically correct. And you know what? When you have an issue, you have to put all the cards out on the table, whether they're ugly or not ugly. You got to put them out and say, this is part of the overall problem. How are we going to fix this? You know, by
and first to move to a different different thing. My last thing that I have to ask you: do you know that we're going to have two of these protests in Fall River, one tomorrow and one Saturday?
Yeah, and I mean, after I saw what happened in Brockton, and actually what happened in Providence this over the last couple of days, Providence, there were about 500 people, 400 people that showed up there and started damaging Providence Place Mall. So do we have the resources here for that? They can't control. The organizers of this can't control who outside parties out of their group. They can't control who the folks are coming.
According to Linda, she just told me on the show that we just finished half an hour ago that the chief of police going to use some money, overtime money, to put actual police officers on the streets during the time of this parades, that they want to call it.
But
they're not afraid. They're not afraid of people from the city. They are afraid that the outsiders is going to come in and destroy
and
something.
Yeah, and agitate. The one issue that I have with some of these protests is that in the city of Fall River, right? And this is all over the country. If I wanted to have a 5K or some kind of march, don't I have to get a permit? Don't you have to pay for overtime a lot of times for these cops? It's kind of like, it's just like we're doing a march and you do it. How is that? That's not how the system runs, you know. But it just, to me, all this stuff, you know what I mean? There are rules set. Everybody else has to follow them. You know what I mean? You should be able to too. One thing I'll have to say, in the paper I saw this, and I didn't really think, because I was reading about, Mayor Coogan met and Chief Cardoza met with the organizers, and I guess they had mentioned that the police may be in the background, just like how they've been in other places. When you've seen it, the police really aren't around. They're in the background, and if things kind of get a little hairy, the police come in. What I didn't think was really, at least to me, respectful, was that the organizers said, well, if the police are going to be around, near us, they need to take a knee. Nobody can force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. I thought that was, you know what I mean? That, how is that a demand that people, I mean, I understand, totally get the whole situation here, but I don't think that was appropriate for them to say the police have to take a knee. Nobody, this is still a free country last time I checked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Read the article in the paper. I didn't think that you're trying to come in and organize a protest, and you're, you know, this is the demand.
Well, I just told Linda too on the other show, was the fact that I don't know about the other cities, but we probably are the few cities on this country that really walk side by side with the police department. We love our police officers. They love our community. If it's one bad apple, yes, it's one bad apple. But Fall River never charged everybody because of one. And for years, and I'm on the city for 30 years, and we always respected the police, and the police respect our community. So if something's going to happen, definitely it's outsiders, because this community respects our police department.
And, you know, just to add on to that, I kind of thought, you know, that, you know, we're not in a big city. So that's a good thing. You know what I mean? You know, it's a city, but it's got a small town atmosphere. So my thing is that, all right, if they do, you know, they're going to have it, obviously. I mean, we had one last week. So when there's going to be 2 more this week, all right, fine. But if you do get these folks that are outside that they don't know, and they're not going to be able to control them, then that brings the police, and you're putting people in danger. You're you know what I mean? You're risking other people's businesses or even homes. You know what I mean? I just, like I said, after I saw what happened in Brockton last night, Brockton's about the same size of us. I just, you know, that was the first thing I thought of. Oh, is this going to create an issue? If people are going to walk around peacefully and speak like they did over the weekend, that's fine. But if you're going to have a lot of people from the outside, we've seen what's happened in Providence. We've seen what's happened in Brockton. We've seen what's happened in Boston.
So why give them the opportunity to do it? Exactly.
That's my feeling. You know what I mean? You know, one more time, that's fine. But, you know.
You want to do a movement. Show, put a blue flag in front of your house. Put a red flag in front of your house, to symbolize that. But give the opportunity for those outsiders to come in and damage the city. You know, I think that's a wrong move.
Yeah, and I agree. And if you really want change, work within the system. Work with your legislators. Work with your Congress people. They're dying. It's voting season now. I'm sure they're dying to get involved. Work that way. You know what I mean? That's my feeling with this stuff.
Well, another problem right now is, I forgot to turn my phone off. But here's the thing. Now the mayor participates on the last one.
Yeah.
Is the mayor's going to participate on the next ones?
I don't know. I don't know.
But here's my problem: is he's telling us to stay home because of the virus.
Yeah.
But then he comes out and supports a group of people that the majority, it's not even with masks.
Carlos, there's people that you know that support this too, and they've been on social media saying, you know, we're gonna distance ourselves, but they were probably the same people about 2 months ago or a month ago saying you're endangering people by going out. You know, case in point was that COVID protest that they had. And people on social media, they were all idiots. They're all going to get this. Nurses came out and were at the protest there. Why aren't they coming out now?
Well,
what's the difference?
Well, I mean, if I'm the mayor right now, I will say, you know, it's your right to protest. It's your right to go out. Even you breaking the law because I don't want people getting outside. But guess what? I'm not going to get involved. I support your decision. because you're free of that decision, but I cannot do two things at the same time. I could not turn my left and say, stay home, because you cannot get it together for more than 10 people on your backyard, and turn on the other side and say 100 people, okay, let's march. You know what I'm saying? So he should stay away from that, you know, not saying not to support them, but support them in a different way.
But this is, you know, I mean, it's different here at our local level. But why aren't all these congressmen, why aren't all these senators coming out and saying this? They kept us locked up in your house for 2.5 months, 25% unemployment rate, and now it's like it's okay. You know what I mean? Just go out, people can protest, whatever. Wear your face mask. You wear your face mask, but you're an inch from another person. You know what I mean? It makes no sense.
I mean, go and meet 100 people with your face mask.
Yeah.
But guess what? If you want to have a birthday party of your family on your backyard, you know, you're not allowed.
Yeah. I'm going to just say one last thing on this, and we can move on. I guess the site New Bedford Guide. So I don't know if you're familiar with New Bedford at all, but do you know where the Market Basket is in New Bedford?
Yes.
Up the highway. That's Coggeshall Street, and that from there there's a bridge that you go over, and you're in Fairhaven. So a group full of teenagers that look like mostly teenagers, they walked over the Coggeshall Bridge, up the hill, which once you go over that bridge, you're in Fairhaven, but up the hill, which turns into Main Street, Fairhaven. And they were just walking in the middle of Coggeshall all the way through up the hill. So that, you know, cars can't get down. That's a main drag between New Bedford and Fairhaven. And the kids got up to the top, and the police are like, you can't block, you know what I mean? You guys can't be blocking the road here. And it's like 9 o'clock at night. You don't have a permit, you know what I mean? On and on and on. So the request was, what they wanted was they wanted the Fairhaven police to kneel with them. You know, the interesting part was it looked like mostly the police were kneeling and nobody else was. But and then they said, well, you know what? Since you guys did this, we're going to go back now to New Bedford. So, like, you know, when you do these things, they have to have some kind of meeting. I don't think there was any meeting to go into a neighboring town. You don't live in that town. You live in the city of New Bedford. You're going into a neighboring town and blocking traffic. So you're blocking traffic. You're, you know, creating a nuisance for the people that live both in New Bedford and Fairhaven trying to come by to go up and say, kneel with me, and then you go back. What purpose did that serve? That served no purpose.
One thing I said it on the beginning, and I'm going to say it again, is if I was a cop, I didn't know how to do my job now. Yeah, because, you know something, the good cop, we cannot tie the hands of the good cops.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Then we would get nowhere.
Yeah.
You know, people would be able to do anything they want to.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'm not just talking one community. I'm talking general.
Oh, yeah.
General. White, blacks, red, yellow, purple, doesn't matter. If we let them do what they want, you know, then that's it. It's no way to stop.
Exactly.
And just going to get out of hand. It's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay? Because we whites, we have the same kind of people. We have people that, you know, destroy stuff too. I'm not blaming just one side. We have that on our white society. So
it's everywhere. But like I said, it's, you know what I mean? When you do things, there's got to be a purpose behind it. And my thing would be, if you want real change, you got to work with legislators to do that.
You have to start from the bottom. You have to start from the bottom. And it's like the fruit don't get on the tree before the tree. You have to plant the tree to get the fruit.
Yeah. And there's also other factors that you have to look in sometimes in yourself. Fall River is a perfect example of what does happen. For years, you know what I used to hear, Fall River, we never get anything good. You know what I mean? We can't get, and I was the same way until I started reading. Why didn't we get, like, say, a Starbucks? Or why didn't we get, you know, whatever? market
Why we
basket.
still don't have a Home Depot on Sam's Club?
Exactly. Yeah. So, so basically what happens is it has nothing to do with being, discriminatory toward poor people, this, that, the other thing. It has to do with the demographics. So they come in, they look at it and they say, people on average make $30,000 a year here. This is not going to fit our model, our business model.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not coming here because we don't think it's going to sustain our business. It has nothing to do with whether people are prejudiced or not. So now taking point, Minneapolis, they burnt that place down. Do you think Target, where they had the riots, they burnt Target down, they looted it. How fast do you think Target's going to want to move back into that area?
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to think, I'm going to look at it and go, I don't know if this is going to help my business model if I have to replace the building.
And that's a big city. So that's not the case of people coming from outside. That's on their community.
Yeah. But I mean, Carlos, that particular neighborhood there, right, where they burnt that Target down, they burnt the Wendy's down. Do you think Wendy's and Target are going to rush to rebuild those facilities after? I mean, they're making a profit. I get it. But when you've looted all their merchandise and then you set their building on fire, me as the corporation, I'm not going to be rushing to go back there and build that. Yeah. So who did it hurt? It hurts the people there.
That means that you don't want me there.
Exactly. Or, I mean, and there was a lady, I wish they would have showed this more. There was an elderly woman crying when she saw the business was burnt because she said, I don't have a car. I'm elderly. My kids don't live around here. That's where I went to get my groceries, anything from my house. Now I have to get on a bus and go a further way, and it's inconvenient. So people aren't thinking about, they're not thinking about everybody in their community, and that's a sad thing. Mm-hmm. They're getting, they're looking at this at the emotional point, and I get that. I totally get that, but you got to also look further down. Burning that whole area down does nothing to fix the problem. Mm-hmm. Nothing at all.
No, all these destructions, it has nothing to do with the crime that was committed. We all know, we all agreed was a crime. We all agreed with that. So why are we fighting for it? If we all agreed that was, and we happy that the police are gonna get, that he's in jail and all of that. We all agreed with that. So what point are we now agreeing that all this violence coming?
Yeah. And I think this country is a lot different because it's a mix of everybody. I hear that America has these problems. I had somebody writing to me from England and, that I play some word games and stuff and they understand, they totally get it, but you can't compare like in America to the UK, Portugal, Spain. Those areas have mostly Portuguese people, mostly mm-hmm. English people, mostly Spanish people. Here we have a mix of everybody. You know what I mean? So it's to compare, the issues that we have in this country, it's not a fair comparison. So but I think we're ended, huh?
Yeah, we are pretty much a minute away. So always was a pleasure to have you on and chat again and have people that actually is going to watch us. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
that is the hard part of all of this, that we actually going to have people to listen to us. Thank you for listening to us. And it's just probably two opinions of two little guys that live in this small town. And but we do have, and we are part of this huge country that is USA.
Yep, absolutely. Okay.
See you next week.